Hi, I'm Diane, your host of Epic Conversations. Thanks for joining us. Our special guest of honor today is John Bullock. John graduated from Charis Bible College third-year ministry track. And John has enjoyed a 37-year career in the Air Force. And he's also been married to his lovely wife, Cheryl, for 44 years. Now that's another accomplishment. And John, at some point, he had set out to read his Bible with fresh eyes. And that resulted in him writing a book called Seeing with Fresh Eyes. And this is an awesome book. We'll have more information on that on the upload. And thank you for joining us. So, John, when we were discussing your life and what brought you to this point, you were telling me that you posed a question to God, and you said, God, can I be your friend? And when you said that, it really touched my heart. And I believe that there are other people out there who want God to be their friend too. Could you tell us, how can God be our friend too?
Sure, Diane. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me. There's a backstory to that.
Yeah.
It's part of my personal testimony, and I've discovered that personal testimony is really, God is always wooing us, always calling us, but our testimony is how we respond to that wooing, whether we accept it, whether we reject it, whether we go along with him or whether we go along our own way. That's what makes the stories.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up in an independent fundamental church, and it honored the Bible very much, revered it as the Word of God. I went to Sunday school. I always thought that I had become a Christian at 6 years old, or possibly even earlier, because I knew I'd answered all the right questions. But when I was in church and we were singing those hymns about loving God, I could tell that the people that wrote those hymns really loved God. And I knew I was really supposed to love God because he had sent his son, Jesus had died for me. Nobody could do anything more for me than dying for me, according to the Bible. But I was still having trouble feeling love for God. And it really bothered me, because it told me, in my interpretation, that there was something wrong with me to not respond appropriately to something as great a gift as that was.
And that's an interesting point. You said there's something wrong with me. Isn't that a lot of times people think they put the condemnation on themselves?
It always turns back that way, especially if we've been told that nothing can ever be wrong with God. It can never be his fault. So here I am. I'm the last person standing. It must be me.
But there's more to it than that. Yeah.
And the frustrating thing was, there'd be times of revival when I would feel close. And things would be like I thought they were supposed to be, but they didn't last. So it was happening often enough so I knew it was possible, but not often enough to be satisfying.
That's good to know, yeah.
And that was frustrating, and I thought I was alone in that.
There's a lot of people. You're not alone in that. I'm sure there's many people. I can relate to that from years ago too. It's like there's moments and pockets where you do feel close to God, but they're few and far between. Most of the time, you feel this distance until...
Right. But I still had this hunger to really know God and to have an intimate relationship with him. And so I wanted to find truth. I wanted to find what I was seeing in the Bible. And the scary thing about setting out to find truth is that if you're really serious about it, you have to be willing to give up what you find to not be true.
I was just going to say, yeah, you're right. Because in order to seek the truth, sometimes we got to let go of an old way of thinking.
And it's really scary because you may have built a lot of your life on this wrong understanding. I came to a very desperate time, and I actually decided I was going to run away from home and join a cult that I had had a little experience with. I think once you asked me how I knew it was a cult, and it was...
Yeah. And how did you know it was a cult?
Because they were fairly controlling.
Oh,
You had to go to them to get permission. And I never completely ran away from home. God intervened and stopped me.
God stopped you because he knew you had a heart after him and you were seeking the real truth. So he checked you, said, this is not it.
Right.
And yeah, that's good, because other people can get caught and, is this what? And they get caught in the cults. And it's like, well, how do you know it's a cult? And you said the key word.
Control.
Controlling. They're controlling you. Yeah.
So I still had this hunger, and so the next summer, I went out on a summer mission trip to Sicily. I tried to do something still radical, but more acceptable.
Okay.
and that was great too, because I learned to trust God even more there. Later that winter, I went to a missionary conference put on by InterVarsity, and they have it every 3 years at Urbana, Illinois, at the University of Illinois, at their Urbana campus. And it's a huge missionary conference. Elizabeth Elliot was there and some other people. But what I did there was I stood up and I said, God, I'll go wherever you want me to go, and I'll do whatever you want me to do.
So it's like a surrender almost.
It was a surrender. But within 6 months, economic times were hard, and I joined the Air Force. And the Air Force told me where to go and what to do.
They have a tendency to do that.
They do. So I enjoyed my time in the Air Force, which was quite a while.
37 years, right?
It was a long time. It was never boring, but it was good. And I was coming to the end of that, and God said, that I still remember that offer. I still remember, and that way is still open. And I think around 2008, I was out walking my dog one night, and it was in Washington, D.C., and it was close to one of their parkways. So it was really noisy, so I could pray as loud as I wanted to.
God.
and at this point, I was a little frustrated with God. I'd been reading about Moses in the tent of meeting, where he could go out and talk to God face to face like a friend. And I was praying in English, I was praying every way I know, yelling at the heavens. And but just really, really longing to know God. And I said, God, do you need a friend? Can I be your friend?
Can I be your friend?
Yeah. And it was, a real friend, a friend where you don't have to tell them how wonderful they are all the time. Like I'd been told I had to be with God. But a friend where I could go as myself, and I could say, I am having huge problems in this area. Or, I don't think you're being fair over here. What's going on? Or, just a friend where you could go back and forth and maybe argue, but still be friends at the end of the day.
I thought I was the only one that got frustrated with God and have these arguments. So, I'm not alone.
No, okay. I'm glad to find out I wasn't either. So, and I'm praying like that, and all of a sudden it drops into my heart, Jesus is your friend. And I said, well, that's nice, but I already knew that. I mean, that's really not any help at all. Thanks, God. I learned that in Sunday school.
Was that more of a mental assent, or?
No, it was in my heart, but God kept it going. It kept coming in, and it said, he's not just your friend. He's your brother.
Oh, yeah.
And he's not just your brother. He's your older brother, one that protects you and teaches you, not the kind that picks on you, but the kind that protects you and teaches you and goes out into the world before you and is a success, and then comes back and tells you how to do it too.
Oh, that sounds personal.
I'm thinking, okay, this is getting better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then, you know, if he's my friend, then we have the same Father.
Oh.
And if we have the same Father, then we're in the same family.
Mm.
And if I'm in the family, then there's a place for me. And if there's a place for me, I can never get kicked out. There's always a place for me.
Oh.
Because and it finally dawned on me, you know, that my feelings of being unable to love, you can never love out of obligation or because you're supposed to. You love out of relationship.
That's key. You can't love out of obligation. It's just not in there because it has to be a free will. You love because you want to.
And you love out of a safe relationship.
A safe relationship.
Yeah, so I was in the family, and there was a place for me, and after that, I didn't have any problems loving anymore, and those ups and downs disappeared. I always thought I didn't have a testimony because I grew up in church, and I always wanted to be good. I always wanted that good and faithful servant at the end. But I finally realized that, you know, people that don't know they're lost are actually more bound up than the people that do know they're messing up.
Yeah,
and
that's
lost.
true. Yeah, it's true. Because especially for people who have grown up in church, you know what you're all supposed to do, you know, but it's like, why can't I connect with the God?
Right.
Why can't I connect with him? And it's like it switches because, you know, first you think we are supposed to love God, which we are, but it doesn't come until after, like you said, you've got that revelation. Well, I'm part of the family, and if I'm having a bad day, I can talk to God about it. And now it's him loving us and us just responding to it and being ourselves. And that makes the whole difference of some kind. It's freedom.
And being myself is okay.
As being yourself is okay. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for that revelation, because that is a revelation. And thank you for joining us. We're going to have some more episodes coming up with John, so stay tuned. And in the meantime, have an epic day in the Lord. Hi, I'm Diane Grubus, and I've started a ministry, and I want to bless you. I'm so excited about it. DianeGrubus.com. Go to the website and check out all the wonderful things that we have in store for you. We have some great epic conversations with some powerful guests and some teachings, free downloads. And we would love to have you join us, love to have you partner with us. We appreciate you and we want to hear from you. So check out the website and thank you.